What is up with it? Welcome to the Melee It On Me panel live from EVO 2014. We have like the whole crew here. This is like a podcast where everybody shows up.
Yeah, this is relatively unprecedented.
Yeah, this never happens.
And we're still late, so.
That's not our fault.
That's very precedented, but yeah.
This is also a way better live setup than whatever Gimmer does. He does a good job, but this is way better. Come on. Shout out to Gimmer.
Yeah.
So we're here to talk about Super Smash Bros. Melee and why there are 970 people playing this game in 2014, and why we're growing when I don't think probably any other game as old as ours is still like experiencing massive growth. That's what we're talking about, right?
Yeah. Do you want to go around and introduce?
Yes. I don't know where to start though.
Just what other panels
Toph,
do.
start.
What's up? I'm Toph. I play Fox. But yeah, like commentator, and I'm currently residing in Northern California, pretty close to my friend Bobby Scarneyman. Kind of been all around. I lived in Japan for a while, went to school in Washington, yeah, I probably show up on the show less than some of my other people because work schedule's weird, but
I'm trying to get him on more.
Yeah,
Just book a conference room at 6:30. That's what I've done since the start. I book a conference room at work and I walk in.
That sounds like a good
with my
idea. I'm
laptop.
gonna do that.
It's
so
amazing.
you'll see more of me now that I've learned this new technology.
Thanks, Toph.
All right, I'm Taffakins, SoCal Chic Main. I love writing articles, spreadsheets, and puns.
Yeah, perfect.
I am Corgi Lover 972, aka Prague, from New York City. Been inactive as a player for 4 years, but do a bit of work behind the scenes.
Love you, Prague.
Illuminati.
I'm Scar. My Twitter is @BobbyScar. Sometimes confused with Bobby's car. It's just unfortunate. From Philadelphia, moved out to the West Coast, so I know a little bit about East Coast and West Coast Melee. And yeah, I love Melee. That's pretty much it.
I'm a juggle guy, Robin Harn, a tournament organizer. I do some nationals like Big House, out from Michigan. Recently graduated from the University of Michigan, just working and doing Smash stuff. It's awesome.
Smash stuff.
Yeah.
The doctor.
And I'm Huga, aka Dr. Z, aka Sheridan, and I'm a TO and Jigglypuff main from NorCal, and I've been playing since like 2004 and organizing some of the biggest tournaments like Genesis, Genesis 2, and the next episode.
Thanks. Thanks,
You're
Sheridan.
welcome, Bobby.
So, okay, Melee. This goes, I think we should start with the inception of Melee It On Me. So we all have these jackets, right? We all identify as Melee It On Me team members. But, like, what is Melee It On Me? And I think Prague tells the story the best. It started at a tournament called ROM in New York towards the end of 2012.
Which ROM?
5? There's so many ROMs.
Yeah.
Also, ROM stands for Revival of Melee. The
So
first
it's very
one,
fitting.
The first one actually did like bring life back to our scene. It was after Brawl came out, and we were going through a period of extreme darkness and sadness. So ROM 1 actually did revive the community in some sense, but all the rest of them are just like big tournaments in the same series. But anyway, what happened at ROM 5?
Well, of course, you know, we've always wondered what our relationship with the traditional FGC is, and I guess we found out that we're pretty involved after having a big issue with collusion. There was going to be an issue with a three-way split, and I was there with Scar, and we were just talking with Cactuar like, this isn't cool. This is a large event. This is one of the most esteemed series in our game's history. We got to do something about this. Why not do a podcast?
Ooh.
And
So it was, and like a long time ago, we had like this ruling body of individuals called the MBR. It stood for the Melee Backroom, and they primarily lived on Smash boards. I was never invited to the MBR, so I can't speak to anything that happened back there. But towards like 2012, what was even happening with the MBR?
Well, so me and Cactuar and I think Sloka from France were like the head people in the Melee backroom. There might have been another one, I forget. But nothing.
So, okay, I want to stress that. This is our primary ruling body.
Yo, I was in the MBR, and
fraud.
I never went on the forum, but it was really cool because if you're in the MBR, you had a purple name on Smashboards, and that was sick. So that was why I was in there.
That's why I played. Purple's my favorite color. Never invited.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, we said we just want to have like some kind of dialogue I was very much inspired by the StarCraft scene. I watched, what was it called? The State of the Game. I also wanted to call our podcast State of the Game, but I knew it would be too much of a ripoff. But I loved Artosis. I thought he was hella cool, king of the nerds. And they just kind of talked about StarCraft, and I was like, hey, this is cool. People talking about video games. No one talks about Smash in this way. So I remember I called you, and I was like, dude, do you think people would like that? And Prague, just in the Prague way, is like, they just might. And so yeah, what do we do between then and the first show? Like, we just
Facebook group. So I think it's really interesting to point out that in late 2012, we as in Melee, we were at a point where Melee had kind of been revived. It'd been like revived, quote unquote, but not actually.
Close to the mic.
But not actually. Sorry.
Start over.
Yeah, start over.
Run that back.
All right, so we're in late 2012 between ROM 5 and the first podcast. So I'd like to call this like the point where Melee had kind of been revived, but not really, because we didn't really have a social media presence. We had seen like 2008, the Dark Ages come and pass, but really we didn't have a social media presence still. I look back, it's like, how do we survive without the Facebook group these days? That's the first thing I check when I go on like my computer, my phone. And I think Scar or Prague, one of them, is like, hey, we're gonna make a national Facebook group and get this dialogue going. That's kind of how it started.
It's definitely Scar.
I definitely started it, which is kind of, because now it's like 6,000 people in a Facebook group. And I don't know if anybody's part of a Facebook group that big, but it sucks. Because like now you get 700 million notifications, and if you post anywhere, Facebook's just like, hey, somebody said something. Somebody's just like, oh no, leave me alone. But it's a good place to check like voluntarily. Like if you go there, there's interesting stuff, but Facebook just pokes me too much. But anyway, yeah, so we had that phone call. We got me, Prague, Cactuar, and who was on the first show? Oh, Sheridan, this guy. He's right here. And we did a Skype call. First, and by the way, I remember that was like probably the most nervous I've ever been. Because like, we never did a podcast before, and I knew that like we had to follow some kind of agenda or whatever, but it was like we were super professional. We thought like, we didn't know what the show was yet, so trying to figure out how we all interacted with each other and also like what this show was supposed to be was kind of weird. But in the end, we kind of just like talked about, hey, you shouldn't collude. And how pot splitting is like, if it's, I forget what the resolution was, but I think it was pretty much you probably shouldn't pot split. In any case, you should probably play your best because that's really important. And, you know, back in the day in 2007, 2008, when sometimes we didn't even record matches, like it doesn't matter if you just split and don't even play finals out. But now we have people watching the game. They're interested in storylines, right? They're interested in you as a player. And, you know, if you have, it's more about like, if you have respect for the people who care about you as a player or who care about the tournament series, you know, part of what we're doing here, like we're competing, but you know, the values for, you know, your fans and for the scene in general, like you have to play. You have to play.
Yeah, I'd like to add, like, you know, there was this kind of, this was, you know, again, kind of like the post-Brawl era, and there was kind of this feeling a lot of the time at tournaments, you know, people, this is the era where, you know, like people like Mango were, you know, throwing tournaments, you know, going low tiers, you know, getting drunk, and there was
Scorpion Master.
You know, it was kind of like the thing to do, like the cool thing to do was to not care. That was kind of like the attitude a lot of players seem to have, and you know, I think if we needed to grow it as a scene, you know, we needed to address that, and the fact that people were splitting pots, like, okay, whatever, you know, it's just the same, you know, same old tournament, you know, this is what we do every week, you know, let's just take the money and go home. That was really stifling things. And I think, you know, that was just kind of like the first issue we addressed. But I think it's very relevant because, like, you know, when we come to these tournaments, we want to feel like we're actually, like, at this intense, you know, competition, you know, and we're feeling the spirit of the game. And that's kind of the goal, I guess, of Melee on Me in general, is just to foster that spirit.
So, okay, Melee on Me was created. We also talked about someone choking out somebody else. Like we had a bunch of really cool topics. We had a lot of fun. And December came around, and EVO, you know, fitting that we're here, EVO posted this thing on Facebook that lots of people were like, well, this is just a joke, whatever. They said, what game should we add to the EVO lineup?
I voted for Virtua Fighter 4.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Virtua Fighter, pretty cool series, I gotta say.
It's my home roots, but yeah, that was one of the main turning points. Also at the time, you have to remember Smashboards was often under attack. Smashboards went down quite a few times.
Crashboards.
Yeah. And it's so rough. You know, that's been our hub for so many years. It doesn't matter what game you play in the Smash series. If you want to learn more, that's the first place you check. And to lose that, but sort of, you know, the Facebook group being in place ended up being a rallying ground. So when that Facebook poll came out and we somehow dominated it.
We crushed them. Please emphasize that. We destroyed everyone. Didn't we? Weren't we like thousands of votes ahead of?
We had like 5,000, 6,000 votes, but you know, that's all history. It doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter how much we beat them by.
Go Melee. And so, right, so everybody's kind of like looking at this and we're like, yo, we're actually winning this poll. What does this mean? Like, are we going to EVO? Like, did we just do it? And of course the answer was no. And in what I think was like a brilliant move, both for like just generally being charitable and taking our competitive energy and competitive spirits and putting it in a good direction, EVO declares that they are doing a donation drive across, I think, maybe 8 games.
Any game that got over, I believe, 500 votes would be eligible.
Yeah. And so they set up different, I think it was WePay or something like that, different links, and you could donate towards breast cancer research, I believe it was.
Yes.
And because there's like breast cancer research, and then there's prevention, and then there's curing it. But anyway, it was breast cancer research, one way or another. And you could donate towards whatever your favorite game was. So you're putting money towards a good cause, and also, you know, showing your love to you know, your favorite game. And I don't think that I knew about it until we were, I think, at about $3,000.
Pretty early on, we were actually really, really slow. Right out of the gate, My Little Pony Fighting His Magic was really just taking off. And I hear you guys laughing, but they were no joke. They put out a lot of money. I see you spitting your soda right there.
If there's like a force of like the internet that is to be feared, it is like the obsessive, you know, nature of these bronies. So yeah,
the bronies,
much respect. Much respect.
Okay, but I actually remember the numbers. I'm pretty sure they donated $5,000 pretty much immediately. And EVO said something like, okay, My Little Pony, they just put up a ton of money. We don't think anybody else can match this. I don't know if anybody knows what that final numbers were, but it's actually funny in retrospect. And they said if any game beats the 5,000, then not only will you be at the main stage, but we're going to give you a $1,000 pop bonus. So this is how confident they were that, you know, not confident, but it was just a big deal that $5,000 was in the pot already.
I would like to thank Hasbro for shutting down. No, I don't want to thank them at all. Not going to thank them at all for that. But what it ended up being like a big turn of events was every other game was kind of lacking afterwards.
Yeah. No, we'll get there. We'll get to
there.
Super Turbo. I almost died that night.
But I went to sleep that night not knowing if I'd wake up. It's like Super Turbo.
We'll get there. We'll get there.
But again, you know, the My Little Pony had a huge lead, and then all of a sudden they had the cease and desist order. And I think at that point, every other game realized we have a shot. Let's do it right now.
Yeah. So we were at 3K, and I'll remember, so at the time I was working at Zynga, and hopefully none of my ex-coworkers ever hear this, but I did no work at Zynga. I hated it there. So I was like almost all the time on my laptop thinking about Melee. That was all I did. And I remember I was like in the lobby, and I was just like on my computer thinking about like this donation drive. And I specifically remember Prague, and I give you all the props in the world. You mentioned to me like, hey, something that we do, where were you working at the time?
I was, and I'm still working at Channel 13, based in New York, public television. Please donate.
You mentioned that sometimes when you guys want to raise money, what you'll do is you'll get some big donation, and you'll have this donation, and you'll open it up to everybody and say, you know what, for every dollar you donate, we're going to match. And you said, why don't we do that for Melee? And I think you already had a couple backers. I think maybe there was like $500 available to do one-to-one matching. So we went into serious fundraising mode, and through the various contributions from many of the people in this room, Arian was a big one, Toph was a big one.
If you guys know Sky from the League of Legends, former Smasher, still involved.
We ended up with a pool of matching money for $3,000. This is as much as we had donated already at that point, so it was like, oh my God. We were thinking, how much do we think, if we use the podcast as like a kind of like a central point, how much do you think we can get people to donate if we have this money in matching? We ended up doing, we'll do up to $1,000. Every $1 you donate, dear viewers, we will donate $3. So the plan was, if we get to 500, then we'll donate 1,500, 50% of everybody who put money up. So I remember, we've got this pot. We had a nice little Google Doc that had like, okay, here's how much we have in the thing, and here's how much we do. This is our goal. And we started the show. We were like, what's up with it? This is Melee on me, EVO donation drive. We refreshed the WePay 10 minutes later. And I looked at the number and I was like, that's a lot higher than it used to be. I think in the first 10 minutes we donated like $1,500 from the community. So it was like, wow, okay. It was instantly like, okay. And it was like kind of bittersweet because it's like, wow, I put up a lot of that money. I definitely have to pay everything out that I promised, but we were all happy to do it. So after that night, we went up from I think 3,000 to like 8,000 or 9,000. And at that point we were dominating everyone.
But lo and behold, there's always a new challenger. And of course, Lab Zero and Mike Z and the entire Skullgirls team, those guys have so much dedication. The heart that they have, earlier on, they had their tournament, their side event, and each one of them, it reminds me of the Smash community in some sense, because, they may not have the numbers that we do, but the heart and the love for the game and what's involved, that's something that every scene should have, and I'm really, really proud of seeing that from Skullgirls, even to this day, so.
So if we told every detail of this story, it would actually take quite a long time. This is a really important month in our history. All these events took place over the next month. So long story short, we were at 9K. Skullgirls did their own donation drive. They hit 15K. And I remember at the time, Hack's Money, I don't know if you guys know Hacks, but he has a hyperbolic sense of the way that he talks. And he messaged me and he was like, yo, Scar, it's over. I just read that and I was like, come on, Hacks. So I was like, okay, we can do it. So over the next lot of days, we kind of all put our heads together and we were like, we're going to have to do another donation drive. We should save it for the end because, because of stream sniping, everybody who's ever participated in an eBay donation, they all know all about this. Not donation, auction. And so we were in major fundraising mode for a really long time. I think before the final night, Melee was at about 25K. Skullgirls was slightly ahead of us with maybe 28. Skullgirls, shout out to you guys. And I was at Toph's house playing Melee, and we were just talking about, all right, we have the Spirit Bomb. It's what we called it. If you guys are, I'm not a Dragon Ball Z guy, but I wish I was.
I am.
I feel very fraudulent about
what
this.
What does that
fact.
even mean?
But we said we were going to do the Spirit Bomb, where everybody puts their hands up and donates. So we were talking about that at Toph's house. And in that very room, someone was on their phone, and they looked at me and they were like, "Yo, Scar, Skullgirls has 10K. Not Skullgirls. Super Turbo has 10K right now, from 0 to 10K." That was you? Oh. And over the next 3 minutes, they went from zero to $32,000, something like over a night. Okay, so first of all, none of us knew about that. And as proof, the rumor was that there are several multi-billionaires in Japan who are living on yachts.
This is what I heard.
Who are dropping 10K at a time, and at any moment they will crush us.
Why was it? I have a question. Why was it literally 10K at a time? It was in blocks of 10K. It looked so coordinated, like a.
I'll tell you, Art, it was the scariest thing we had ever seen. You guys were dropping bombs. So anyway, we're getting ready for the Spirit Bomb, and does anybody want to talk about that night? We did a stream that lasted from I think 6 p.m. on that final night until 2 a.m.
Oh, it was even longer than that. I guess a bit more background. The Melee community got a lot of support, not just from the Melee scene, but of course the entire Smash community definitely helped out. And then the speedrunning group, of course, with Trihex, who was a huge factor in that. He's not in the room, but a big thank you to him, wherever he is. And that was just humongous. And we kind of figured, okay, if we want to do this, because we're watching Skullgirls do a stream every night, we're doing it when they are, and we're trying to battle back and forth. So actually, we said we want to do almost 24 hours of content. So we had a fake Melee on Me in Europe with, I believe, Shloka again, Fuzziness, and the crew out there. And eventually, when we were able to get going, we kind of took it home, and it was. Yes, I remember that.
I remember I felt like, man, we were so done because I tuned into their stream and there were like a bunch of like beautiful women doing like, voice acting for like $5, and here we were, a bunch of ugly people. Just like, I think that you guys are all very good looking. I was just sitting there like, hey, please raise money for Super Smash Brothers, and like they had like this pop and party. I was like, no, we're done. So anyway, when the dust cleared, it's pretty good.
When the dust cleared, I think we had. I don't remember the exact figures, actually. I want to say
94.7K from Smash Brothers alone.
From Smash Brothers alone. With
Skullgirls in a close second with, I think, like $75,000 raised. And across everyone, thanks to, like, this one idea, right? And thanks to, like, gamers loving their games, I think in total we raised about $250,000 across all the games for breast cancer research. So that was sick.
Mind you, this is in contrast to like a month prior when we were like, oh my god, they raised like 3K, it's done.
Oh, it's done, dude.
Yeah.
Just quit.
Yeah, like
But
literally.
I think like that last like 5 to 10 minutes of the donation drive was insane because every time you would refresh either of the pages, it was just one was jumping above the other by like $5,000 increments.
And not just
I know
that.
Prague has some Illuminati shit behind that.
I know nothing of that.
Group. Yeah, there's a Facebook group.
Also,
Smash Illuminati.
The WePay was going down too at times, so people were looking for donations. They can't do it. We're trying to do the 11 at 11, so we had like everyone in the chat do like $11 at 11 p.m. and yeah, everyone's trying to do it, but oh god, WePay isn't working, and we're still behind. What are we gonna do? And yeah, it was just an amazing outpouring from all sorts of fighting game fans and fandoms of the games that were involved. So I think it's definitely one thing that needs to be spoken about more. It's not, gaming isn't only about the negative things. You can always point at tragedy, but these things don't get as much credit as they deserve. Look at Awesome Games and Summer Games done quick. How much credit do those guys get for what they do? Not enough. We only get the blame. We don't get the boons. So a big thank you to everyone that was involved.
There were definitely some questions as to whether or not donating and getting into EVO was even going to mean anything. But I think, looking back,
hindsight's kind of 20/20.
I think we all did a good thing there. So okay, let's fast forward kind of a lot. After we learned that we were getting into EVO, like excitement was pretty insane. I remember we had a NorCal local that had like 70, 80 people. Do you remember that? It was like just in Super Arcade, not the arcade that's.
No, it was.
And so, like, it was basically from 25 to 30 people that regularly come. It was like 80 people just showed up to like a random, local. So it was like, whoa, something's going on. And I think that phenomenon was kind of like everywhere. So there was a lot of build up to EVO. Lots of old players coming out of retirement, which was always awesome to see. And okay, so I guess we have to fast forward all the way to like the week before the tournament. I remember I was actually, I don't know if I can say this. No, I can. I was in a meeting with, so I worked at Twitch at the time. Shout out to Twitch, these guys are awesome. I was in a meeting with like some really important people from Sony, and they were talking about like the integration between Twitch and Facebook. And my boss actually, in the middle of this meeting, where like, I'm supposed to be taking these great notes and stuff, he shows me his phone and it says like, hey, did you hear that like that you guys can't stream Super Smash Brothers at EVO because Nintendo said so? And I was like, no. I have no notes from after that point. I think like everybody's like shaking hands and extending business cards after the end of that meeting. I was just like, dude, I need to go to the bathroom. I need to like cry somewhere. So I remember this is like the biggest heart attack besides Super Turbo donating 30K. And this is kind of like a really rough moment. We definitely needed to do some soul searching. The kind of core of that discussion was, we love this game. Nintendo made this game. Nintendo hates us. That was kind of the way that we felt. And it was very hard to deal with that and talk about it in a productive way because we knew what we wanted, right? We wanted Nintendo to kind of see it through the lens of, hey, this community donated tons of money, right? They actually love your game. Throw them a bone. But it was very hard to talk about that without being like, you guys suck. What are you doing? So we didn't really know what to say. Prague, you were on a show. It was like a brawl show talking about it. Do you want to talk about kind of like how that felt?
Oh, God. I was hoping this wouldn't happen. I might cry again. So,
do it, dude.
I was on the way home from work, and of course I'm on the subway. I'm on the N line, and we're crossing over the bridge, so I get service again. As soon as service comes through, I'm getting swamped in messages from Facebook, Twitter, text, and I'm just like, what is going on? So I come to terms with it right before the train's heading back underground, and I just say, I'm going to stream when I get home. I was getting offers from like James MK from the On Blast show to talk about it and things like that. And I couldn't get my stream to work as per the norm, so a big thank you to C-Naught who runs our stream for mailing it on me.
Thanks, John.
But yeah, I just got on stream, and I just want to thank everyone for being a part of this. Later on, we will find out that the event itself was at risk, not just the stream. But lo and behold, that generosity, letting us run the event, that was enough for me. I'm still old school. I can run with a Dazzle instead of an Elgato gaming card. But just being president of EVO with that type of numbers, it certainly meant a lot to the community. And later on, I was on a podcast called Japan Time with Roger DeLuigi, who is actually a former Nintendo employee. And we were talking about it. At one point, I was on the phone, on stream, with a Nintendo rep who had no idea what I was talking about, but was being very cordial. I also filled out a survey after the call was done, saying that she was fantastic and deserved a raise. But, over the course of 4 hours of just everyone showing their outpouring to Nintendo, wondering why, because, it wasn't just the Smash community that was questioning this. It was all over the internet. Kotaku, Ars Technica, Penny Arcade. I had done a couple of interviews with Penny Arcade beforehand, and then when that happened, they were one of the first to break it. But it was certainly not the fun. Yeah, front page on Reddit, not just on the game subreddit, not just on our Smash Bros, but on just the front page, period. And it was just this amazing explosion of everyone just saying, what's going on? Why can't this happen? And the decision was overturned. I believe that was the Wednesday before. It was the day before I left. So I was just finishing up packing when it was not my finest day. But hey, it's all in the history books, and I feel like it makes the story a lot more entertaining to tell if it's not seamless.
It's called internet justice. Thank you to the whole internet. That's kind of how I felt. It's like, yes, thank you human beings for supporting something that yeah.
And
thanks to the internet.
I think it's so important to just emphasize the fact that this Nintendo Stream crisis happened. I think it got maybe 30 seconds in the documentary, and I was like, oh, I should have gotten more, and other people whatever. But that decision, I feel like it was kind of a crossroads. If that had gone a different way, we wouldn't be sitting here today. Nintendo and the social media thing, and it just feels really cool that we actually really changed the course of Melee history. It sounds really cheesy, but I really think we did that day.
Yeah. And not only Melee history, but speedrunning was also in danger at that time too, and the Let's Play videos on YouTube. So this is a big props to Nintendo for allowing everybody, not just the Melee community, to do it.
Yeah, thank you, Base Nintendo, for doing that. For not carrying out the original decision that was maybe not the wisest decision.
And since we're talking about hindsight being 2020, here we are a year later, and who's one of the sponsors of this event?
Yay! We did it!
That's a pretty awesome cosign.
Yeah.
But EVO went on that year, 2013 last year, 696 entrants beforehand, final tally of 709. Juggle Guy, previous to that, what was the biggest tournament?
I really like this question. Pound 4 in January 2010 was the previous record holder. It had 347 entrants, and I just thought it was beautiful that EVO almost exactly doubled that. It's 696, almost exactly double. And so, okay, I feel like we had, at least me, I had a flawed conception of what was important, the turnout number or the streaming number. So when I remember the first image I saw when somebody texted me, my phone was blown up on Nintendo Stream Crisis Day, and I clicked on this link that someone texted me, and the first image I saw was this Super Smash Bros. Melee box art with a big red X on it.
Yeah, me too. The
wait,
Kotaku article.
The Kotaku article. It was. So I was like, did the event get canceled? What happened? Because that was the first thought.
Yeah.
And I looked at it. I was like, oh wait, okay, so we can't stream it. And I swear to God, this sounds terrible now. My first thought was, oh, that's what's the big deal? Why is everyone?
That is such a you thing to say too.
I really, at the time, I didn't realize how important the streaming numbers were. I'm kind of an old school TO a little bit, even though, you know, I've only been hosting for like 3 or 4 years. So the streaming numbers, I kind of didn't have, I underestimated the fact that those 135,000 that ended up tuning in, that has a ripple effect. That kind of leads us to today, to like right now. And it just.
I'd like to also add that we set a record with that. Right, that was the highest.
2 hours, we set a record.
The highest, the highest number of concurrent viewers of any fighting game stream.
Yeah, taking a small step back, I remember during day 1, we had like we peaked at like 35,000 people watching like, you know, pools matches. This is like talking about like me versus Jabali in Super Smash Bros. We had 35,000 people watching that, and that was kind of like, at the time, our previous record, I think, was Apex 2012. Or 2013, which clocked in at maybe, what, 15, 20K viewers?
For, like, finals?
Yeah, for, like, grand finals. This is that was the moment where I looked at my phone and I looked at the stream numbers and I was like, oh, my God, this is insane.
And you thought to yourself, I guess me and Jabali are better players than,
Yeah, I guess everybody wants to watch me play Jabali. He's actually, if he's not here, right? He's so bad, oh, my God. I love Jabali, but his peach is atrocious. But anyway, so Finals day comes around. We have like amazing players. We know that the content's going to be good. Actually, I remember I was scared out of my mind game 1. It was Shroom versus Armada. And I remember, so it was on Battlefield, and you know Shroom, he picks Black Dr. Mario. And Battlefield's super dark. And like if you played on some of those TVs that are like actually kind of dark, the projector was like that. So all you could see is like Dr. Mario's nose running around and like Peach throwing stuff, and it's like 2 floaties. It's like not the most interesting match. And I remember the audio was so loud. So it was like Doc's just like, whoo, whoo, whoo. And it's like so loud. And I was like, everybody is going to leave the ballroom. We're screwed. And I like tweeted at Mr. Wizard like, hey, we need to. So I was freaking out. But anyway, I checked the stream numbers as, you know, as things were going. I remember KOF had like 80K, I think maybe 90K during their grand finals. And then when we started, it went down to like 85K. And I'm like, what are we doing? Like, are we going to lose? Are we going to gain? What's going to happen? And I remember I just checked over and over obsessively, and I saw the numbers climb and climb and climb until finally, like in grand finals, I remember I tweeted like the Twitch, you know, when you see just generally the top games, it always says League of Legends, Dota, blah, blah, blah. Super Smash Bros. Melee at the very top with 132 or 135,000 viewers. It was like, oh my God, what is this game? And yeah, like Toph said, we had the record of the biggest fighting game tournament ever, and then Marvel broke it like an hour later. It was like, no. But it felt amazing at that time, and it still feels amazing that we actually beat Street Fighter at EVO 2013 in stream views.
And anyone...
We also beat Injustice.
Beating Injustice as well. And anyone knows, like, competing with Capcom fighters in numbers is, like, no easy task.
Yeah. So, okay, that felt amazing. So that was EVO, and, you know, at the end of it, it's like we had all these interviews, right? Mango's getting interviewed. Is Jabali there? What are you pointing at? Shout out to Jabali, CEO, the big guy. I love your peach. Never quit Melee. Okay,
like
so
the bat signal?
yeah, and then I remember there were like interviews. You know, Mango's getting interviewed, and like, you know, I was kind of like he was on Team Melee on me for a little bit. I gave him like a few dollars and asked him to stream, and you know, he was just like, his career was kind of taking off, and it was a really big deal. And so it's kind of like lots of things changed after that. It felt like, okay, are things going to go back to normal, or do we have momentum? And that was like, I guess it was an unanswered question for a little while until the Smash Bros. Documentary. I don't know who wants to take that topic away, but yeah, this is a really big deal.
I'm going to just say a little anecdote. I go to locals now, and people call themselves documentary babies. Like, this is my first tournament, and I'm a documentary baby.
Yeah.
So I guess
Shout out to you.
You know, there's this term thrown around called the 09er. You know, when Street Fighter 4 came out, and it was, you know, streaming becoming more prominent, things of that nature. So it was a new breed, and there was kind of a bit of rancor to that group. And same thing with a lot of the quote-unquote documentary kids, but the devotion from that group is, it's there. They have a lot of technology at their hands, stuff that we didn't have coming up. I feel old just saying that. God, back in my day. But they've always had this vigor this new group, and they are playing catch up. And they're doing exceptionally well. I know that we're appreciative of the 09ers, or our 09ers and the documentary kids, because not only are they being those new players, but some of those guys are constantly doing great things outside of just being players. They're stepping up to become tournament organizers. They're becoming commentators. They become producers for Melee and On Me.
Can we talk about some of the really cool things that people have done, like real quick? It might take like 1 or 2 minutes, but so just a couple of shout outs. So and it's basically the point that I'm trying to make is that all of us together are like, we're working on building something, and each individual contribution is like actually incredibly important. We talked a lot about SSBM. What is it? Streams? SSB streams? What is that? Twitter?
SSB live streams on Twitter. Basically, it's a bot run, or I think designed by Warchamp at Smashboards. If it's in someone's Smashboards account and they go live, it gets tweeted out automatically. If you're on the subreddit on reddit.com/r/smashbros, which Nintendude is one of the main admins of, it's on the sidebar there. So it has definitely a lot of power for spreading stuff.
For the challenge. So there's also some challenge plugins that Melee players have developed. Rob would know a lot about that.
Yeah, there's this thing where TOs use either TO Tournament Organizer or Challenge, which is online-based, and Challenge always had some limitations, but finally we had a couple people develop plugins for it, and that's taken off recently. Just these projects all over the community. A lot of these people are new. I talk to these people who are developing these plugins, and some of them tell me they've been in the community for like 2 or 3 months. I'm just like, oh, I mean, these new people can really, really make a difference.
And then the last thing is someone else on Team Melee on me, Kevin Toy. He's actually an amazing Marth player. He goes by PewPew. He made a site called SmashLounge.com. It's actually super sick. He put a bunch of really good GIFs together, and you can it's a really great visual way to kind of learn the game from kind of the bottom level. What's the next thing after? Oh yeah, so the documentary. Okay, this is gigantic. So basically, I remember when Samox first said, "Hey, give me a bunch of money, and I'm going to make this really cool Smash documentary." And I was like, "No, I will give you $0. I don't know who you are. I don't trust you. What are you doing?" And I wanted him to tell us literally everything. And the wise man that he was like, "Scar, shut up. We don't want too many cooks in the kitchen. I have this vision for this documentary, and I'm just going to do it. And if you want to donate, you can. And if you don't, then you don't have to."
Yeah. I remember the first time I saw him, he was at, I believe, ROM 4 or 5, and he was filming. I asked him questions. Of course, I'm interested in production, so I'm like, "Okay, what are you doing?" And he starts explaining to me, and I'm like, "Okay, I'll donate a couple bucks." Lo and behold, yeah, we're talking about things that why we're here. The documentary certainly is one of those things. It went viral extremely quickly. Samox, of course, quit his job for a while, nearly got attacked by a homeless man with a needle, all in the production of this. And, we always talk about the community being made up of individuals who care a lot, and Samox may not be, the most known player or, the top-rated person, but his contribution certainly goes without saying.
Thank you so much, Samox. If you haven't seen the Smash Brothers documentary, it's completely free. It's on YouTube. I recommend that you watch it. It is sick.
And you can watch it before and after it's remastered.
That's exactly right. I actually noticed no difference between the two, for what it's worth. So.
Need a better eye.
Yeah. Well, that's not debatable. Okay, so yeah, so the documentary also brought, I think that's kind of, so Team Liquid got involved. This is kind of the next big thing for us, right? Somehow, and I don't know if it's motivated by the documentary, yeah, Prague knew about this 700 years in advance. This is why he's making these because he knows everything. Prague, what do you know right now? Tell me something I don't know right now.
Your shoe size is 11.
Is that the national average or something? What are you doing? Have you sized up my feet?
Don't worry about it.
I don't want to talk about this. We're going to move on. Yeah, Team Liquid got involved, and I don't know what the progression of sponsors were. Yeah, you were totally right. I don't know what the progression of sponsors were, but Team Liquid signed 2 players from the documentary, and I don't think that's a coincidence. Ken and KDJ. These are 2 of our legends. So
and even going further with that, to make the video, to introduce them, they went right back to Samox, again, the creator of the documentary. So they certainly were paying attention, along with a few others out there.
So, okay, so that was a big deal. And we knew that we were we knew that something was going really, really right. Also, in the meantime, Rob can probably talk to this, but tournament attendance everywhere was going up, and stream views were going way, way up. So it was just like, something is happening, right?
Yeah.
EVO did something, and the documentary is doing something further.
Yeah, I mean, we definitely saw not just the numbers increase, but a lot of the people who were already deeply involved in the community step up even further to deal with this new beast instead of the family we've been having for a while. And that being said, a major shout out to two huge streaming groups in the Smash community in VG Bootcamp and Clash tournaments.
Yeah, if you don't follow them on Twitch, please follow twitch.tv/VGBootcamp and /Clash tournaments. They are sick nasty and melee on me. Okay, so the next big thing that happens, and this is an interesting topic, but MLG announces that they have some interest, some grassroots program in Smash and in Halo. Is that right? It was Halo. And so this is interesting because in 2007 we had we had a relationship with MLG, and we may not have walked away from it super pleased, but it was very kind of fitting that after the documentary and so much of our history has to do with MLG and is tied up with MLG, it's kind of fitting that we're going to go back to that stage as well. Right,
and even just continuing with that, when Umbrella was at MLG, Nintendo and the streaming rights were another thing, history repeating itself, it was all at risk, it was all in danger. And this time around, everything came together. A lot of people were wondering immediately, but there's a lot of red tape that goes on behind the scenes in terms of getting permission and what cannot be streamed and what you have access to. So again, thanks to Nintendo for looking out, and I guess a little bit of Illuminati information. I don't know if I told you guys this. Nintendo actually sent a stage list that they demanded to both MLG and EVO. It's the stage list we use, so they certainly have been paying attention for a long time.
Did they know that Stadium was a counterpick?
Yes, indeed.
Did they know that Stadium was legal in teams, or do they not care about teams?
They actually didn't really give a lot of information about teams.
Oh my God! They know that Stadium's a counterpick. That's pretty next level. I'm slightly surprised. We probably have a mole. We have a rat. Anyway. So okay, so there's a lot of things tied up in MLG, but in the end, having a circuit and having a storyline building up to a grand final event is really good. I think we've learned this, and we definitely want to replicate that. So Armada is here. That's a big deal. He was one of our best players, and the Mango Armada rivalry is so storied, and he adds something to the game that no one else can do. He plays Peach like no one else. He creates incredible games, and he's just one of those competitors that we always love to see. So the fact that I mean, it's my belief that this brought him out of retirement.
Well, I mean, even just to backtrack, actually leading up to EVO last year, the amount of the international presence certainly increased by leaps and bounds. I mean, one of your favorite players from Brazil.
Aizengobe?
Yeah.
I just love saying his name. It's just like Aizengobe. It's just so much fun.
I mean, it's the return of Japan. We had seen Gucci at Apex 2013, of course, him coming with Ko, PL, and that crew. And then, lo and behold, a year ago, yesterday, for the first time on U.S. shores, we saw some player named Amsa playing Yoshi.
How could you not love Amsa?
And, it's fantastic seeing the amount of international play come together, because I've always felt like you had to come to the States to prove yourself, for better or for worse. I remember a long time ago, Armada was not good. He was just combo video good. Anyone can look good in combo video. I can clip clips of myself together and I'll look amazing. And lo and behold, yeah, we find out that he's the truth. And then we see Ice from Germany, Leffen, Fuzziness, and all these players coming to US stuff. I mean, again, but even before that, I just want to give a quick shout out to Homemade Waffles. That's your cue to clap.
Love you, Brandon.
When we talk about Genesis and things like that, during the quote-unquote Dark Ages, he showed a lot of people that were still interested and still looking at the scene that there is a lot of hope out there. There's great stuff going on out there, and of course, I always call him the Yipes of our community, because while a lot of people talk about it's Marvel Baby, for us, we all know his his refrain from Wombo Combo. I can hear it in my head right now.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he did a lot behind the scenes, and I'm pretty sure that if he hadn't been doing that, none of this exists. So
one of the things I'm starting to realize with this re-revival of Melee is I think one of the things that keeps a community alive is the thought that, yes, I know other people besides me are watching as well. And I think Waffles really embodied that in the dark ages, 2008, early 2009. He was the guy who we went to YouTube and we're like, oh my God, this guy's so enthusiastic, and other people are the same as me. We're all watching the same game. And as soon as someone steps up and Revival Melee comes around, Genesis 1 comes around with Armada, it was just kind of a huge momentum based on that. And I think right now we're seeing the same thing multiplied by huge scales. So these stream numbers, sponsors, and everything, right?
Yeah, I think it's just a sense of shared experience. And I actually am taking that from Jeff. I know he doesn't want me to shout him out, but I was talking to him yesterday. I was like, why do you play? Because he plays so weird. And he said something about like, well,
Silent
I don't know,
Spectre.
I like the game. It's for shared experience. I was like, oh my God, Jeff. And he doesn't say very many words. His tag is Silent Spectre, so it's like, he just fits the mold so perfectly of someone who says like 10 words and it's like, whoa.
Jeff, what are
Anyway.
you playing?
So anyway, also featured in the Wombo Combo. Poor Zoo. So, okay, that's MLG, and we had an amazing circuit, and if you haven't seen the MLG Anaheim VODs, like, top 8 of MLG Anaheim was truly some of the best Super Smash Bros. Melee gameplay I've ever seen in my long career.
But not just that. I mean, the way they set everything up with the closed bracket, where you get a lot of pools being played of dream matches, basically, and leading into the final bracket, I think that was phenomenal.
Yeah. And that was only a few weekends ago. This summer has been dubbed the Summer of Smash. This is because MLG Anaheim was, I think, more or less the start of it. Skatar is kind of like an honorary mention, and because it was so many tournaments. Oh my God, did we not mention the Invitational?
Yeah, I mean, we had the E3 Invitational earlier this month, or last month, pardon me. The week after that was MLG, CEO, hosted by Jabali.
CEO is amazing.
Wrestling Ring Intact. Last week was the 4th of July, but of course, Arian, aka Mr. Smash Vault, 15-minute video telling you about CRTs. One of the unsung heroes, along with Sleepy K and a few others that deserve a lot of credit. And the momentum has just been continuing on and on because of people like Arian, the Crimson Blur. This is not a buster. He is a buster, but
In some cases, this is a very hit or miss with Arian.
but I mean, here we are.
Also, the Invitational that now holds the record for most viewed. We had like 250K people watching Super Smash Bros. For Wii U. So top that, other games. I remember I got into it with Mike Ross about that. He was just talking to me, oh yeah, Street Fighter's better than Smash. I was like, dude, 250K. Good luck, bro. And so
Here we are. I mean, 1 year later, it's Evolution 2014. We are back. Nintendo has given us their blessing, which I think is something that the community has aspired for a long time. Whether it was just a nod of acknowledgement or just anything besides what happened last year. And they certainly showed that they're with us on this.
And I mean, look what we accomplished with Nintendo not supporting us, and imagine what we can accomplish with them on our sides, right? I have an interesting question for, I guess, the whole panel. Do you guys think we would have been as strong of a community if Nintendo had supported us from the beginning?
I think I think the only answer is that support looks very different from company to company and scene to scene, and that's probably what it boils down to. It's like, what kind of support are we talking about? And in the end, okay. So my dream is that Melee gets re-released on Wii U. Let's go, Melee HD! Come on, baby. I think 2 years. 2 years from now, dude, we're gonna be playing on Wii U's, and then at that point, like, support can mean a mutual relationship with like stuff like downloaded content, and like new neutral stages, stuff like that.
So, I mean, I think one interesting thing is if you look at the way Melee is relative to a lot of the other big fighting games, you want to look at the lineup of games at EVO. Melee is the only one anywhere close to as old as it is, right? Most games that are more than a couple years old do not you play them in the the BYOC area. You play them as side tournaments. You don't play them on the main stage on Sunday at 2 p.m. or And my theory, is if Nintendo had been behind us from the beginning, maybe Melee would have been another case of that. Maybe it would have been, they're with us for a little while the profits are good, and then we're kind of relying on them, and then Brawl comes out, and then now we don't have Nintendo support anymore, and Melee is left by the wayside, and everyone moves on. And I think the interesting thing about the Melee community in general, and I don't think any other fighting game really has this claim, is that we did kind of persist through that struggle, and kind of went out over the new game. And and I think there's this kind of, if there's one thing I know about Melee players, it's that we all love playing Melee. And I feel like since we've been through it once, with the whole Brawl era, the Dark Ages, I feel like now we know that we can do it again, and now we know how strong we are as a community. And so we have this very unique heritage to us that I don't think most scenes have.
And I mean, just to kind of go with that, it's the work of individuals that really have inspired one another. And I don't think, if Nintendo had been behind us from the start, that would have happened, because we might have been spoon-fed. People would not have stepped up, but it's because we had to do it. No one ever asked to be in any sort of position like this, but the situation arises and you either step up or you're left by the wayside, and I think we've stepped up a couple of times.
Right, and it's not like, it's not like for a lot of games, the success of them is contingent upon the continued support of the developer. For us, our success was dependent upon the continued passion of everybody who plays the game. Because, I mean, I think Melee is such an insanely deep game that we had to go on this 10-plus year journey to really explore this whole thing. And, like Prog said, it wasn't spoon-fed to us. We all shared in this continual discovery over the years, and that kind of thing brings people together in a way that a company saying, here's a bright, shiny new game, everybody come and play it, can't.
I'm going to add, I think we coined the frame of the quote, "We esports now," and I really believe if it was really about the money and the fame, we wouldn't have been as a family. If you look at Smashboards, PPMD will help people out, Kirby Kaze will help people out, we'll house each other. We have a lot of these precedences that we've set to help each other as family, that if we had big prize pools and company support, I don't think it would have developed into what we have now.
Yeah, for sure. We're scrappy, dude. We sleep on floors. We have no qualms with that. I don't know any Smasher who will say, no, man, I need a bed. There's 3 of us in existence. Yeah, you're one. You need to sleep way more, Arian. So here we are, EVO 2014, and that's kind of that's the story of how we got here. I don't know what the future holds, and I don't know how much we're really well, of course, we're all thinking about it. I don't know what the next big thing is. Do we have a next big thing?
I think the next big thing is Smash 4.
That's a pretty big thing.
Isn't there a big thing coming in October?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, well, that's a big thing.
It's a literal big thing.
Big House 4, please come.
Please come in Michigan.
But here's the thing. I think, and I'm one of these people, every year at the end, at December, I write this Melee year in review. And every time I'm writing that, I'm thinking, is this going to go on for 1 more year? Is this going to go on for 2 more years? And finally, I think as of now, I can finally say you know what? I can see Melee being around in 10 years, in 15 years. And that's something that I'd never felt before 2014. And it's just because of this revival, the Platinum Age, that's really put us in this position.
When you think of the last 18 months, again, the largest tournament prior to Apex, or pardon to EVO last year, again? Yeah. This year, here we are, just shy of 1,000 people for a 13-year-old game.
I want to know what the views are going to be, dude. I'm so antsy. I want to know what the over/under is on 140K.
Honestly,
I want to beat last year.
I don't know, because we have the World Cup, the Invitational. There's a lot going on.
I know.
But we'll see what we can do.
I want to beat it. Anyway.
However, I think we're up to that point when we open the floor to each and every one of you.
Itching for some questions and comments and stories and stuff. What do we do, Art? We're lost without you.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. We're about the people.
You're the people's champ, aren't you?
No problem. Sure. You're a legend. Yeah.
Yeah, we just share that way.
All right. Make it good. So we'll share.
Oh, and also, before anybody leaves, thank you guys so much for being here and spending this time with us. We had a great time talking to you all.
Okay, I just wanted to go over something you said earlier, just to follow up on it. I'm a TO, so I heard you said something about Challenge and TO Pro working together. Yeah, is there a plugin for it now? I was trying to search for it earlier. I couldn't find anything like that.
I think Juggle Guy needs to take this question and Sheridan over there. That's the mic.
Was your question?
Where to find the cool stuff that he can do?
Oh yeah. You know, this is one of the problems that we still kind of struggle with as a community. I think a lot of the stuff is really sloppily organized. Like, it's hard to find, you know, if you want to say, I want to find this plugin for this challenge, you kind of have to ask someone. So
they're not on the website?
We're still struggling with that. I don't have.
We'll make a post on meleeon.me. How about that?
There's no easy answer. Yeah, a post on meleeon.me. I think that's
that's indicative of yeah. That's hard.
Okay.
Sorry, dude.
I'll
These
have
are
to
all
keep
over the
searching,
place.
I guess.
You can also tweet Strong Bad. I heard that he works on Challenge. He literally works on it. So I mean, additional plugins for it. It would be great if they had it on their website. That would be sick.
Does Neil work on anything anymore? He seems so hard to reach.
Neil is a teacher in Long Beach, and he only supports AIB to the extent that it still exists, and I don't think he really does any more work on that. So I think his time has mostly passed.
But we
as far
miss
as that.
him.
We definitely miss him, and he's the homie.
Okay, and then I guess the second question, a little more colorful. Okay, since we all know that, well, at this point in time, everyone's impression of Smash 4 is it's going to be like Brawl. And before we had Brawl, we had Melee, and we were thinking Brawl's going to be Melee 2. Yay, let's just go right into it. And then, like, after like a month or so, we're like, where's the combos? Where's the tech stuff? And we are expecting that to happen again. So most people aren't going to give Smash 4 a chance. So the chances of a Dark Ages, I guess, are just moot in most of your eyes, or what?
Can I actually speak to this? Since so as someone who played the game in the Invitational, I think so going back to something I said earlier, right? I think that the one thing that every Melee player has in common is that we all love playing Melee. So if you want to speak to Dark Ages, like a period in which Melee kind of dies out, I don't see it happening. I see Melee and Smash 4, barring very unforeseen circumstances, I see it as probably being a mutually beneficial relationship. Especially since I think we have the community maturity at this point where, like, when Brawl came out, there's just a lot of quabbling, right? Like, a lot of just bickering between Melee and Brawl scenes, and everyone was younger back then. Right. And so, I mean, I think we're just in a better place as a community now. I don't really see it happening again. Me personally, if Smash 4 comes out and, it ends up being, competitively not as interesting, and closer to Brawl than Melee, I mean, which is, right now it is much closer to Brawl than Melee. I don't know what changes they're making to the engine right now. I'm just going to play Melee, and I think a lot of people seem to echo that sentiment. So, whatever. I think it's only going to be it's probably mostly going to be good for the scene.
I wanted to add one more thing. Something that I think that I very much learned from the Dark Ages of Brawl is that everyone has different preferences, and I think I was very bad in particular about accepting that other people enjoyed Brawl. And I think that, like, if our leadership focuses on, hey, please play the game that you like. We have we have this game, and then there's this other game, and you know what? We're all part of, like, the Smash genre, and we all support each other. That's probably the best thing we can have. So I hope that our community looks like that in a year.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, dude.
This is in regards of Smash Bros. 4 and how it's going to impact Melee, just like he was talking about. I've been trying to figure out how it would be closer to Project M or Melee, or it's a mixture between them two. But I know that Melee has made a huge, huge impact in how Smash Bros. 4 is going to be developed and how it is developing. Otherwise, they would have released it sooner. But to some of you who were playing there, do you think that it's going to beat out Melee, or that Smash Bros. 4 is just going to be another brawl?
Well, I mean, in terms of anything in life, if you're expecting to stay stagnant and not make changes and make progress, you're probably looking at the wrong thing. That being said, I think any of us from back in the day that were looking for a Melee 2.0 were extremely naive. That being said, I definitely think that Smash 4 certainly has some potential, and the whole fact that they are.
One thing I want to point out is Melee was the first competitive Smash community. Even though 64 came out before Melee, I'm pretty sure Melee was the first game that actually formed a semblance of a community. So from the Melee to Brawl transition, that was the first time we had to go through anything like that, where there's this whole new game and the entire community was thinking, do we switch? Do we stay? What's the standard procedure here? And right now, with Project M coming out and doing really well for the last couple of years, and Smash 4, I think, like Toph said, we're in such a better position as a community to learn from the past and know what we're going to do moving forward.
I like to say it this way. I mean, if the gaming community was a pie, like the pie is a lot larger than it was 4 years ago. That if everybody has a share of their pie, it's going to be bigger than the pie they had in 2008.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Sup, Jabali?
Hi, my name is Alex. I'm a Smash player from Orlando, Florida. My question is, well, first of all, I really love your previews, Robin, for all the tournaments and stuff. Really great job. I like that CEO one.
Thank you.
You were spot on, by the way. You were down. You guessed 250. We had 262.
Okay.
So
I guessed within 4 entrants in my prediction.
Anyways, so be genuine. I love Smash. I've been playing it since 64, obviously. I don't have time to practice like I used to with CO and all that stuff. What do I need to do to become like an official rule guy with you guys? Because we need to fix the coaching in Project M. And to be honest, like, not to toot my own horn, but I've played in so many different games. And just, if you guys ever need somebody for rule sets, talk to me. I would love to help because I know what's legit, what's fair, stuff like that. So anytime you guys need help in the community, from me, like from an FGC standpoint, because obviously I want Smash to be at CEO from every year from now on. And I want to make sure. Shout outs. We have one gaming night here. One of the guys on the gaming nights crew that ran it for me because obviously I had 10 other games to do myself. So, but rules wise, like you used to have, when you guys banned Meta Knight, what was that rule? What was that group called?
There was the Brawl Back Room. So I actually wanted to speak to that. I think that's an amazing point, and something that I've always thought. So we talked a little bit earlier about how the MBR used to exist, the Melee Back Room, and they would traditionally have done that. They don't really exist anymore, and something that I've always been afraid of for Melee and Omni is we never want to kind of like overstep our bounds, but I have felt the need for like serious conversation around our rule sets and serious kinds of standardization, and I don't think that any group is necessarily in a better spot to do that than us. I think hearing you say that, like maybe we'll try and step up and have like the Melee and Omni rule set. But I completely agree for what it's worth with what happened with the coaching situation.
Yeah, I mean, like Facebook voting, you could use your group. It's one of the largest FGC groups in general. So the power you guys can have to get everyone's opinion in that specific group. And like EVO, the beauty of EVO is they let the community run everything, and then they learn from you guys. So you guys, everyone respects you. You need to step up and start creating something and getting the feedback. But like Project M, if I ever hosted it again, there's no coaching. I'm keeping that timer going.
I'm going to consult you on every rule.
Say no, please do.
Message you on Facebook and say, hey, Jabali.
I see everything at a level I. I know what people want, but I also know what needs to be done. So I'm here to help.
Thanks, dude.
All right.
Thanks, Jabali.
Enjoy your finals tomorrow. I'm in dive kick top 8, winner's side. I'm going to be going play. Thank you.
Get him, dude.
I think the first rule that I would implement is to limit the number of raffle tickets Jabali can buy.
What's up, guys? Long-time listener, first-time caller. How you guys doing? Doing
well.
So, like, I was listening to this. Good job and everything. I have 2 questions. The first is just, I guess, can you guys talk about, I know Tafo's putting a lot of work into it because now you guys have, like, a blog. What about how the editorial aspect of the Smash community has kind of evolved. We now kind of have more people working on the writing aspect and documenting things than we ever had before. Before it was pretty much just that man right there, Juggle Guy, running years in review, and we had the whole year chunked in. Good work with that, Robin, by the way. And nowadays, it feels like we have a lot of guest writers and content being produced. How's that evolved?
Well, I mean, just beyond Melee and On Me, you look at kind of the entire esports reach out for Smash, period. I've seen tons of groups who are looking at stuff for their own sites, whether it's Azubu. We've had, I guess, every organization basically that cares about fighting games or cares about competitive gaming in general has been looking at the Smash community, has been having people write articles, whether they're part of it or whether they are just longtime fans. I mean, again, going with Team Liquid, the first time they had a Smash article on there was written by Wobbles. So these guys are paying attention. They know who to go to. And I think it certainly says something that they are reaching out to us for covering our own.
Right. So esports journalism. And then now, I think we've been talking about like how we're the best now. We're like amazing and everything's going right. But it's pretty easy to get cocky. What do you guys think, long term and short term, we could do better? How can we move from this point to not only to use this growth, to use it in a way that's long lasting?
Well, I mean, right now we're almost at the end of the summer of Smash. I mean, Zenith is coming up pretty soon, but I think this is the last time that the Big Five will be attendance at the same tournament for quite some time. So that being said, we got to take advantage of what's out there. We have to look back at what we've done historically. So when it comes to things like combo videos and things like that, getting people involved. I mean, you look at the Reddit subreddit for Smash Bros. What's being done there is just insane in terms of the type of content they're doing, and it's providing a lot of additional reading because we're not like other games where there's a stream every day that has a lot of tournament footage. We basically know we're weekend warriors at this point with the occasional Tuesday night stream. But yeah, we got to take advantage of what's already been done, and we just got to further it. There is no easy answer to this question. I think we're all trying to figure out. Hopefully you figure it out for us. Thanks, Ariane.
I have one other thing to add. I think role models and community leadership is something that can grow exponentially. There's no ceiling to how far we can improve with that. Just going back to the Facebook group, the inception of that national Facebook group, say like 3 years ago in 2011, if Mr. Wizard were to come to the Smash community and say, okay, who do I contact as the point person for like setups, for rule sets, things like that, we wouldn't have an answer. But now we have people like Scar, Prague, we have a lot of community leadership, and on a national scale, that's great, but I think at a local scale, that still needs to improve. So that'd be my answer.
Yeah. And to add on to that, the very practical thing I could tell you guys is that if you're a good player, train up 2 to 3 people at your local scene that have questions. And if you're a subject matter expert at TOing logistics, bring around 2 to 3 other people in your local community and teach them how to TO. That's the most, we're scaling up. You can't have Arian running the show for a 250-man local. It just can't happen. You need groups of people, and this is a group effort. And
you need wieners.
and you need to build up people. A lot of people are willing to help. They just don't know how. So if you're a community leader in your local scene, train up people around you to help out.
Thanks, Arian. But I actually wanted, the very last thing that I wanted to say on that topic, when you say like short-term, long-term success, the one thing that is a little bit scary about that for me is that we have different ideas about what success looks like. Like we said, Nintendo's not supporting us, right? We don't have a group who's like the government. The direction that we choose is kind of crowdsourced, and that makes it tough. And I think knowing what we want ultimately is really, really important. And I think that like I just want to share our community and our players and our storylines with as many people as who would care. So the more work that we do towards that, I mean, you even mentioned kind of like journalism and stuff like that, building storylines, letting people know more about our players, like those things are important to me. But yeah, I think we need to know where we want to go, and then we'll get there.
We have about like 8 minutes, so we have to kind of shotgun it. No more new people, unfortunately, so we're going to have to rush through these next questions. I'm really sorry about that.
Thanks, guys.
I'll make this as quick as possible. First off, all you guys, for what you were saying about the revival of the Smash scene, great stuff. I'm an aspiring competitive Smash player myself, and it's always good to hear something like that for one of my favorite games of all time. So shout outs to you guys, and shout outs to the whole Smash community. Come on, get hype! Smash EVO 2014, come on. And it's my first EVO too, so I'm like freaking excited. So first question for Prague. You commentated at the Smash Invitational, right?
Yeah.
How did it feel to commentate at an event like that hosted by Nintendo?
I can't even say it's a dream come true because of my wildest imagination. I never would have dreamed this, so.
Sounds about right. I mean, it was pretty exciting. I watched the whole thing and I was like, dude, this is awesome.
You know, getting that kind of recognition after doing this just for fun or because I had time to waste, it's insanity, and it really meant a lot. So a big thank you to all of Nintendo, and especially the Treehouse crew.
And also another question, and this I kind of want to put out to everybody here. What's up?
Just keep on going, ask that last question, but then we got past
Okay, that's cool. Well, anyway, with Smash 4 and the inclusion of the GameCube adapter, and not just for you guys, but for everybody in here, how cool is that? That is freaking
Super
awesome.
Yeah, actually, honestly, one of my biggest concerns, because even in the theoretical universe in which everyone wants to play Melee forever, we are limited by our hardware. So like when we walked into that room where we got to like practice the Smash 4 before the Invitational, because we went in the morning and there's like rehearsals and stuff, and we were like given these brand new Platinum controllers, and I was like, oh my god, I wish I was playing Fox right now with this thing. It feels so good. And I was actually like pissed because I was like, man, I can't do anything like technical with this, But anyway, yeah, so that's really cool. Actually, that was like the best thing ever for me.
All right, that's pretty much it. Smash for life, people, get hype!
Okay, let's try to keep it down to one question. We got a bunch of people who still want to ask some questions. Thanks.
Okay, you guys are the premier Melee podcast, correct? Why does your stream drop all the time? Seriously, guys.
We have a...
Get it together.
We'll fix that when I get a better mic.
Ooh.
This mic is fantastic, though.
Saying that forever.
So yeah, so my question has to do with the documentary that came out. So with the documentary, how big of an impact do you guys think the documentary had? And also, would Melee be as big, or where do you think Melee would have gone without the documentary? So it's kind of a two-parter.
I think it probably would have stagnated. I mean, I think it's already at over 1 million views combined between the original and remastered.
No, not the documentary. The Melee scene. Like,
oh no, I'm just bringing it out that way. But I think the scene would have stagnated without it. Like we were talking about earlier, where do we go from here? I don't think we had anything in mind really to keep the momentum going, but that was a rocket ship. So I don't think we would be here without the documentary. I don't think the sponsors like Team Liquid, Evil Geniuses, Cloud9 would be interested in us. I don't think a lot of competitive gaming would care about us, but now they know us as people, and they care about us in terms of our story as a community, and the documentary is really what opened that up.
Yeah, just to kind of add on to that, I think like exactly what Prague said about kind of like sponsors and stuff. So I think we would have continued to grow within our scene. I think we would have had better I think EVO did a lot for us, and we had a lot of momentum, and a lot of people cared about us going to EVO again. But we now have sponsors looking at us, and we have more kind of like people who otherwise would know nothing about Melee. They now know something about us. They know something about our players, and I think that we came off as very approachable. So I think just generally the really big growth that came from that was anybody who doesn't really care about video games or about Smash. So I think that was awesome.
And also just to continue with that, we're seeing the outpouring kind of be stretched out. Earlier this week, Exax and Tyrant, two guys known for their brawl prowess, were signed and sponsored. Love is being shared.
Hey guys, as a documentary kid, as someone who bought his first GameCube like a month ago, I've been going to locals. I loaded up my van and brought a bunch of people here. I've been trying to host tourneys. What else can I do to get us one more year?
Dude, everything that you said is awesome, and I think that like any individual thing that you can do is amazing. I think wanting to do more is awesome, but I just want to say thank you so much for like taking people here. Thank you for trying to run tournaments. Like that is exactly the stuff that you should be doing right now.
Oh, and just to add on to that, I don't think any of us knew that we would be doing this, down the line. Something's going to come up, and you're going to figure it out, and you're going to take advantage of it, and you're going to be amazing at it. So just stick to it.
Every single TO or streamer or top player or anybody who writes for the game, produces content, every one of those players was a new player or new attendee attending their first Smash tournament at some point in time. And since we have so many people like that now, like some of them, like they're going to start contributing, and we should recognize those contributions and encourage it as much as possible as community leaders.
I have a question for Tafikants. I just read your predictions for top 8 tomorrow. And I am a huge PPMD fanboy, so I was wondering why you had Fly beating him and PP at 7.
You had Fly beating him? What are you thinking?
Wobbles 2013.
Oh, okay.
No,
can't
he
wobble.
doesn't wobble.
Well, it's a bold prediction.
Yeah, it's a bold prediction.
I kind of do it to play devil's advocate and stir a little controversy. Like, PPMD is an amazing player. I thought about it for like a good 10, 15 minutes as I was writing the article. I'm like, okay, like, am I really gonna click publish with this? But at the end of the day, like, I feel like Fly can do it. He's not confident in his Falco, so, and then I'm not sure how refined he is at Marth versus Ice Climbers, so that's why I was like, okay, out of all the upsets I could predict at this point with the top 8, like, this is the most shaky one I could see that I could predict an upset.
I put PP at 3rd.
I always kind of thought of you as like the melee numbers guy, so that just thought that was a little weird, but whatever. Thanks.
It's Vegas.
All right, guys. I guess I'm gonna close out the last question. What's good? All right, so I guess as a fighting game player, I've been around Smash for a pretty long time, as PR Rock knows, Frog knows. I've known D1 for a really long time, about 10 years, so Deadly Alliance, stuff like that. But back then, there was a lot of vitriol and ignorance on both sides, like towards the Smash community and towards the fighting game community. They didn't really mix very well. But how far do you think that the integration has gone in like the past 10 years or so? Like, are both communities less ignorant towards each other and more willing to merge? And going forward, do you see more integration with the FGC going forward in order to help everybody grow? So let me rock. But because I think what you guys did with the past couple of years, partnering with FGC streams like Team Spooky at Apex, I think it was a really smart move to get that exposure.
Yeah, I remember a few years back, PC Chris actually made an account on SRK to ask questions, I think, about Third Strike, and people recognized his name, and they were like, wait, aren't you that Smash guy? And unfortunately, he didn't get the best reception there. But
yeah, I remember that.
But nowadays, you look at a lot of players who made that crossover from Smash to other games, like Ford, Alucard, who runs Team Control.
Yeah, Alucard's probably one of the biggest guys that people know is a Smash head that migrated over.
Of course, we fully accept responsibility for Chris G. He is one of us.
Really?
He started in Brawl, yeah.
Wow. The more you know. And here I thought he was just like a random Chinatown fair guy.
Lord Knight. There's been a ton of integration.
Yeah, Lord Knight.
Yeah.
People actually forget that Lord Knight played Smash.
Yeah, Juicebox as well. So there's always been this overlap, but I think when you look at events like Apex, which invited, the traditional FGC into our home, and later on, that led to things like Big E running tournaments, inviting Smash. The integration just over the past couple of years has been great, and I think, there's nothing more exciting to me as someone who comes from Virtua Fighter to see people doing side bets on Pokemon Stadium on what the transformation is going to be. But yeah, the integration is amazing, and I think it's going to continue at this rate.
Yeah, I'd like to point out, Infiltration winning DreamHack wearing a Smash shirt. That was really interesting, and like sitting in the Smash room with like this kind of weird, uncanny like note-taking kind of look on his face during the E3 at the show on the showroom floor. Was very interesting, so we'll see what comes of that.
So I think actually maybe the biggest factor in kind of getting better integration between our two communities hasn't been the exposure of each other to each other's games, but actually kind of meeting one another as human beings and getting to know Smash players and FGC players on a personal level.
Yeah. I mean, that's definitely true. I mean, I've always been integrated with that, like, you know, within the FGC from the beginning. So I feel like it needs to be expanded to a greater level. Because, like, birds of a feather flock together. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I like to just add one thing. It's, like, very easy to ride on some sort of hate train or hype train, like to say, like, you know, Brawl sucks or Smash is a party game. But I think I really commend the big figureheads of the FGC to say that Smash is a respectable game. I know that Justin Wong has been shouting us out for the longest time. And I think just the leaders of both communities just need to set a good example, because people will parrot what we say.
Just to add on what you just said, Justin Wong is free at rock, paper, scissors.
Yeah, and just one last thought on that. So we've actually been invited on several like prominent FGC kind of like podcasts and stuff, and everybody, all of the people that I've interacted with have been extremely nice. And there was one moment on the Fray where Toph and I were actually doing like an interview on the Fray, So and I Play Winner, and we were super caught off guard. The host asked us, what can we do to have your success getting like someone signed by Cloud9?
So you talk about Derry, right?
Derry.
Yeah.
And I was like, is that you? What's up, Derry? Yeah. And I was like, oh. That's Matt. Hi, Matt. Oh, hi, Matt. What's up, dude? I've seen your face a billion times on Twitter. We'll talk after this. And I was just like, what? What can you learn from us? Like, my response was actually like, we're babies in this regard. We don't know anything about having money in our game. Like, we don't really know what's going on. We're still trying to figure out what's going on. So like, when we figure out what we did to get here, we'll let you know. But we can basically talk about what we just talked about today. And you know, yeah, I think working together more is going to be super sick. And it's also the little things that count. I think being on the main stage day one that meant a lot to me personally. I don't know about everybody else who played Smash, but like that was really important. So thank you so much to the EVO community and, you know, everyone who plays fighting games. So is that it? Are we done? Oh, okay. Thank you all so much for being here. If you want to hang out with us more, we're on twitch.tv/MeleeItOnMe, Twitter's @BobbyScar, @ProgDucto, @Tavakins, @Toph_BBQ, @JuggleRob, and I don't have a Twitter because I'm lame.
I just have one more thought that, so, you know, watching the final episode of the documentary, I definitely had tears in my eyes. And normally when you start to read YouTube comments, you immediately regret it. But as I was scrolling down after watching the last episode, I saw one that's really always stuck with me, and it said, "We don't just play Smash Brothers, we are Smash Brothers."
I don't want to take away from the gravity of that, but I actually thought that was so sick how Samox did it, because he started by saying the Smash documentary is about these 9 players, but then at the end it was like so obvious that's not what it's about. It's about all of us. I was like, whoa, you tricked me, Samox. All right. So okay, thanks everyone.